Well, the Obama administration is expected to shift into public relations mode this week. With healthcare.gov, as they say, in the hands of digital experts, we're told the White House is now preparing to launch a major campaign to get more people to sign up overall. Well, they got to get going because the deadline to sign up to get coverage for January 1st is December 23rd. Those penalties kick in, too, for all those who were still uninsured in about 4 months. Let's bring in our political insiders. John LeBoutillier, former Republican congressman from New York. Pat Caddell, a former pollster for President Jimmy Carter and Fox News contributor. And Doug Schoen, former pollster for Bill Clinton, president, and Fox News contributor as well. You know, you all can also weigh in on Twitter at FN Insiders and at Harris Faulkner. Doug, big PR campaign.
Yes.
What likely is coming?
Basically, that things are improving steadily, that you can sign up easily, that you will get insurance that will be affordable, arguably better than what you've had before, and that the problems with the system have largely been addressed, and that, bottom line, Harris, we are heading towards the realization of the goals of the ACA. Whether that will be the reality remains to be seen, but that's what the campaign will say.
You know, I'm curious because it's not as though we haven't seen any sort of a push. In fact, Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, a former advisor for the president, I want to take a look at something he said today, which simply was, well, we just haven't seen the PR campaign yet. Let's watch that and then I'll get your response.
No one has launched a big PR campaign to get these people signed up because of the problems with the federal website. We are about to launch a big PR campaign, and that, I think, is going to persuade a lot of people to sign up.
Pat, I'm confused. I mean, people have seen billboards. We've seen a campagn. We've seen speech after speech from the president.
Ever since, and Doug and I wrote about this right after it passed and got hammered, we were right for months. They keep saying, oh, people like it the more they hear about it. We've heard about all these PR campaigns. And what we have is Mr. Emanuel there, Rahm Emanuel's brother, out there doing what he does best, which is telling the American people he knows what's good for them. They're too stupid to figure it out and wait till and you know, we have a right to say whatever we want to you because, after all, we're the good people. And the result is this is not just a problem of what is going to happen. It's also perception. They've lost the perception war.
Let's put up some numbers, and John, I want to get your thought on this too. When you look at young people, we know that they have to sign up to be the funding engine for Obamacare. Look at this from Harvard, this latest poll. 45% poll said that they are unlikely to enroll. What kind of PR campaign do they need to get those 45% back?
Well, they're not stupid, these young people. They voted for Obama. Some of them voted to re-elect him, but they've realized now that they've been sold a pig in a poke, right? The economy's not getting better for them. They're not getting jobs. That's why they have to have their parents' health care plan to cover them. They're discouraged over the whole thing. They're down on both parties. They're unhappy. It's the symptom of what's happening in America is reflected in those young people.
All right, we have a little bit of the president at a youth summit from this past week, hitting on, I guess this was maybe the beginning of the PR campaign. Let's watch that, and then I have a tweet I want to share.
Sure.
If you're a student body president, set up a conference on campus. If you work at a nonprofit, open your doors and use your email list to help people learn the facts. If you've got a radio show, spread the word on air. If you're a bartender, have a happy hour.
Doug. Bartender, really?
Well, look, this reflects, and I dare say, Pat, I think you'd agree with this, desperation by the president. Because bottom line, if young people don't sign up, if there are only 22 or 25% of it who sign up, it means that the Affordable Care Act's economics don't work. There isn't the resources to sustain the plan. So the president has got to get everybody involved. And that speech, Harris, I just think he's just tilting at windmills.
All right, so then we would just call it the CA, the CARE Act. We take out the affordable part.
Unaffordable care.
Okay.
CA.
This is, you know, he appeared with those young people, they claim the White House did, who were helped by Obamacare, but they wouldn't disclose who they were. So that this was, you know, another one of these phony things. The president's out there sounding like a pitch man on, you know, at 11 o'clock doing.
Does he have anybody else to help him besides a former advisor, Dr. Emanuel?
Well, whatever ads, whatever.
Phil Scalero back, who was his congressional liaison. He was living a peaceful life in New Mexico. He's back for 3 months. to aid the administration. Harris, they're desperate.
Well, and again, that's the timing, because in 4 months the penalties kick in, because if you don't have health care, you're going to have to pay that.
We already know, Dr. Emanuel, not to the contrary, saying, well, in California they're signing up. No, 20% or less in California, where the exchange, where we can see the numbers, are less.
So it's consistent.
So it's consistent. The young people aren't, as Doug said, they aren't stupid.
And the politics that's going on here that we're not yet talking about is Democratic panic about 2014.
That's what I'm saying. Where's everybody else who could help him
Well,
sell
they
it?
are scared to death, and they've told they're running. They've told the White House, get this thing straightened out, or we're going to lose the Senate and lose more seats in the House. And the Republicans will then eviscerate this thing when they have control of Congress.
We've got a lot of people chiming in on Twitter, and we specifically reached out to the millennials, and here's what we're finding out. Julie M. 987 says, Harris, Fox News insiders, what would it take? I would need reassurance that my personal information could not fall into the hands of internet hackers. You want to know what a PR campaign should have? That's what Julie says.
Remember, it was the Obama's loss with millennials, young voters, started with the NSA scandal. They're the most sophisticated. You're being asked to go on a website in which you have no security, in which everyone in the world is hacking, and still doesn't work at the back end. No wonder they'd be out of their minds to do this. Pay the fine.
You know, one more. Can we just roll that one other from the President's Youth Summit, too? I mean, just in terms of trying to target this, see if this would work. He tried it this way.
I do remember what it's like being 27 or 28. And aside from the occasional basketball injury, you know, most of the time I kind of felt like I had nothing to worry about. Of course, that's what most people think until they have something to worry about.
I think that's called pandering.
I find these two clips from the president remind me of the awkwardness of Richard Nixon trying to talk to crowds like he was one of them. And
but this was the president's base.
But he's not connecting. He's awkward.
And here's the thing: if the media wasn't just rolling over with their paws up in the air and were actually covering how bad he was.
Wait a minute. We are asking tough questions.
No. I'm talking about the people whose basic job in life they determine.
That's quite a visual on their back with their paws
they are, but that's what they do.
They're lap dogs.
They're lap dogs, and they're waiting to have him rub their stomach. If they were covering him the way he ought to be covered on this, the way they would cover any other president, he would be destroyed.
Have you noticed the scandals have disappeared?
Oh, of course.
The NSA,
that's the Republicans'
IRS.
fault, too.
Well, it is the Republicans.
The website helped push some of that language out anyway. All right, well, I want to move on to the next topic real quickly. When you talk about reaching that younger generation, you heard the president talk about the minimum wage. And that's kind of a toss out of the playbook from the Republican Party, because they were talking about raising the minimum wage.
Well, they're only talking about it in a response to a push in the Congress to do it. Now, what none of them in either party, and the three of us keep bringing it up here with you, which is, instead of worrying about the minimum wage, why aren't we talking about growing the economy to create more jobs that pay better? Because this jobs report on Friday was not very good. I mean, 200,000
numbers. If you believe.
Well, Pat, there is a history of faking the numbers, we think. And where's that investigation going?
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But bottom line, Harris, we do not have from either party, and certainly from the White House, an economic plan. There's no tax reform. There's no plan for economic growth. There's no plan for empowerment. Bottom line, the White House is talking redistribution. The Republicans are talking no. And the American people are sitting there saying, what's in it for us?
And Doug, if you're a 25-year-old, right, if you have a job, you're paying tax to pay for Social Security that you don't believe you'll ever collect a penny of. Mm-hmm. You're now paying into a health care system for other people's health care that you don't think you need. You're paying for Medicare, Medicaid. No wonder they feel hopeless.
I'm seeing a lot of that on Twitter, and if I could just steal one, too, from my Twitter page. This gentleman calls himself Straw Man. He says, forget Obama. Can America reverse downward spiral? GOP, DNC both focused on winning at the expense of the United States.
That is welcome to America. That's what most people in America think. And today, I got a quote from David Hume sent to me by someone from Fox, and it just said, a Republican and free government would be an obvious absurdity if the particular checks and controls provided by the Constitution had no real influence. for the public good. And that is what we have now. This is what we have, two parties who they care only about their temporary political advantage, and the country be damned. And the American people, guess what? They figured this out.
I'm wondering what people outside this country think of, and that's where I want to go next, okay? With this whole Iran deal, and now Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, chiming in. What is he thinking of our leadership? We'll talk about more. And thank you guys for your tweets, by the way. Our viewers are so astute. I love including them. President Obama pushing his second-term agenda now, but with all of the distraction and dysfunction inside of Washington, will he be able to get anything done? We'll talk about that as well as Iran and Israel. Political insiders weigh in on all of it. Stay with us.